Hi, good evening, all of you. Hi, good evening, all of you. Hope you are able to view me. Hope you are able to see the screen and you are able to get my voice. Please confirm in the chat box whether I am audible, whether you are able to see me and you are getting everything from this. Good evening, all of you. Please confirm so that I can start our today's discussion on brief on PLC validation. Hello, am I audible to all of you? Please confirm. Hello. Yeah, Mr. Chaudhary. Thank you so much for confirming. That everything is okay. So let us discuss about the today's session on brief on PLC validation. I found that there is no any training, no any discussions on PLC validations. So what happened? The PLC validation contract is given to the contractor, external agencies and all, and they are doing the PLC validation, and nobody is aware at the site that what we need to check as a part of PLC validation and how it should be done, whether the basic requirements are fulfilled or not, and just it is sign off and it is kept. So the point is, when there is any inspection or auditor is asking the things and all, the people are not able to answer what is done during the PLC validation. So that is the reason I thought that I will take this training session. Thank you, Pharma Dreamers. Thank you for confirmation, Rijit. Thank you so much. So I when I tried to prepare the training presentation or training material on this topic, PLC validation, I come to know that it is a very big topic, lengthy topic. When I started working on that, and when I asked the expectations from these training sessions and all, I come to know that the if we club all the expectations of all the audience, then I will not able to complete in just 1 hour. So that is the reason, I prepared the this training session in a two sessions. So this is today is a training session first, and next Saturday we will have a next training session. So with this, let us discuss further. We can start further about the training on this topic. I just want to share you, if you have any questions, please uh, put your questions in the chat box. At the end of the session, we will discuss on all the questions. Okay. So this is just an overview, or you can say the training agenda, what we are going to discuss today. So we will discuss about the brief introduction about the concept, PLC and the validation strategy. There will be some slides about the trainer. So my name is Jitendra Kumar Shah. I am a CJMP compliance consultant, trainer and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. So I will be putting some couple of slides about my CV, so that any company, if they wish to organize the external training, they can put this recording and in their conference hall, and the other team members can attend and join this training session. So that is the reason I am putting my CV here. We will discuss about the types of GXP computerized systems. So you know that computerized systems, there are as per GAM there are different categories. You may be aware that GAM 1, GAM 3, 4 and 5 and all. But there is a different thought with respect to the types of GXP computerized systems that we will discuss here. Then what are the requirements of validation will be discussed. Then understanding the traceability matrix. Many people confuse about the traceability matrix, and also that we will discuss. The key elements of functional risk assessment. So FRA, we are going to discuss that what is FRA and what is the infrastructure risk assessment. Many validation, I found that companies lack the infrastructure risk assessment. So that is the reason I specially discussing here. I will going to specially discuss here about the infrastructure risk assessment. Process control system validation requirement. So as our today's topic is uh, PLC validation. So PLC is a part of the process control system. So what is its validation requirement, that we are going to discuss here. Then identifying GXP and non-GXP system. How you will able to identify GXP and non-GXP systems, that you will come to know with this discussion. Followed by criticality based on the system complexity. So when we are discussing about the PCS or process control system like PLC and all, So the extent of validation depends on the criticality of the system. So how you can identify the criticality of the system, that tool or that way we are going to discuss, followed by the validation of the PLC logic. So what is exactly expectation behind the validation of a PLC logic and how we need to do this, that we are going to discuss under session 1. And then we will have a overview of a session 2, so that you will come to know that next week what we are going to discuss, followed by the question answers and vote of thanks. So this is what our agenda for today's training session. So as I discussed, there are a couple of slides about my CV. So already I shared my name. My name is Hitendra Kumar Shah. I am a CGMP compliance consultant, trainer and auditor from NADH plus GXP compliance services. This is a brief about me. And I would like to tell you one thing here, that when I'm changing the slide, it will take some couple of the seconds, maybe 2-3 seconds or sometimes 5 seconds based on the internet connectivity. It may take some time to display at your end, so don't worry about that. Okay. So I was a quality head for about more than 13 years, and since last 13 years or maybe 12 to 13 years, I am involved in a different auditing of suppliers, or maybe third-party audits or vendor audits, then computerized system vendor audits, or you can say the due diligence audit, mock audit, show cause audit. So many types of audits I have done. So the point is, till date maybe I have completed more than 500 sites. So whatever I have prepared this presentation with some experience and of audit and some observations also, I put this as a part of this training session. This is just to share information about me. These are the companies where I work. I started my career with Sun Pharma and followed by the different companies. I was a compliance head in Zyadus Cadila. I work in AstraZeneca, Sanofi, Mylan, and since last about 5 years, I am independent compliance consultant under the head of NADH plus GXP compliance services. Before going ahead with the discussion, I just want to put some disclaimer about this. Please remember that whatever I am going to discuss and all, it is based on some literature survey, some information collected from different sites and all, and some guidelines and all. So if you want to implement from this, because it will be recorded as a part of the video, so if you want to implement this, so my point is you need to refer the current guideline or current expectations. Okay. So this is what brief about disclaimer. And now the very important thing, our today's discussion topic. Okay. So before touching the today's discussion topic, I want to share one information that maybe a couple of years back, I have conducted the separate webinar on validation of a computerized system. Okay. So brief on computerized system validation, I have conducted this session. So my request all of you to go through this. The reason is what? The basics like GAM categorization and the basics of testing and all, what is the flow of the validation and all, that is all detailed discussed here. So that is the reason I am not going to discuss the same thing on today and next week session 1 and session 2 of a PLC validation, because PLC is also part of the computerized system only. Okay. So that is what I just want to make you aware. Okay. You just put brief on computerized system validation. This video will be appear on the YouTube. You can go through that. This is important because all the things are covered, basic things, because otherwise you will ask me at the end of the session that whether we are not required to prepare a URS or IQ or PQ. That way you will ask me the question, because any computerized validation or on the contrary any validation, we need to have this all the flow URS and then for validation master plan, then URS and IQ, OQ, PQ and all. Okay. So that is what I am just sharing information, that please go through this learning session after this completion of this training. And now let us discuss about some classification criteria for computerized system. Now the point is, you may be aware about the GAM categorization. There are the 4 categories under the GAM category 1, then 3 and 4 and 5. But here some different logic is there behind the classification of the computerized system. Hope the screen is visible to all of you. So what is the categorization? Categorization is, something, you can see the categorization as, three categories basically. Category 1 is a GXP computerized information system, CIS. Second is GXP computerized equipment, CS, and GXP spreadsheets. It is short form is S. So many people ask me the question that, uh, many people ask me the question that Excel spreadsheet, is it a category GAM category 1 or 2 or 3? So that is the reason I am just clarifying here. It is not under the GAM 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. 2 is not there, of course. 1, 3, 4, 5, it is not under the GAM category. So when we are discussing about a computerized system, there are the three categories. So the first category is GXP computerized information system, CIS, means where you are just interacting with the computer. For example, learning management system or SAP, SAP. These are some, the GXP computerized information system. The other is GXP computerized equipment like CS. So where the computerized system is used to control some equipments or instruments, like for example the PLC, SCADA, or you can say the QC instruments like Lab Solution, Chromeleon, Empower. This is not a the promotional training session, but I'm just giving the example of some softwares which are controlling the equipments or instrument. This type of computerized systems are called GXP computerized equipment like CE. And third is the what, GXP spreadsheets. And this is what some technical information is given about the things, but major important what I want to share is the three categories. You need to convert computer system in three categories, so that you will able to focus on the validation and the structured approach about the validation on the different computerized system. So that is the reason I put this slide. So now let us discuss about the PLC. So this slide exactly I took it from my earlier training, where I discussed about what is HMI, what is PLC, and what is SCADA. That was a basic training about the introduction about the HMI, PLC, and SCADA. So from that video I just took this slide. So basically PLC is a programmable logic controller. It is an industrial computer control system that continuously continuously monitors the state of input devices and makes decision based upon a custom program to control the state of output devices. So this is what the definition of this. So main point is here what it monitors the information, and based on the data it evaluates and it takes the decision. That is the function of a PLC. So based on the logic or based on the program made in the PLC, that is called logic in the PLC, based on that it will monitor the data, it will evaluate, and based on the evaluation it will take some decision. For example, suppose I took the example that if suppose some sensor need to be operated at specific temperature, so it will monitor the temperature continuously, and when as per the logic or as per the program is given in the PLC, if the specific temperature is achieved, automatically the sensor will be the activated, and further the actions will be taken. So that will be, it will be take some decisions also. That is the main important of a PLC. Hope you are getting the point with me. Okay. Further again I am requesting, if you have any question, please don't worry, you put your questions in the chat box. At the end of the session we will discuss all the questions. Okay. This topic is somewhat more tedious, and the second session will be more tedious with respect to the IT scope and all, but at least you should know. So that is the reason I am going to touch upon the topics. Okay. So strategy is very simple. You can see from the this slide, URS, user requirement specification, then functional specification, then design specification, and then followed by the the different followed by the building of the system, then IQ, OQ, and PQ. So here you can just understand this point. is, when we are discussing this strategy, it is very simple. If it is whatever type of a computerized system, whether it is only the software you are validating with respect to where equipment is not involved or instrument control is not involved, or whether you are considering about the CE computerized equipment also, this strategy is followed. So URS, you are aware about this. So based on the URS, the function specification is prepared, and based on the function specification, design is prepared, and then system is built. This flow is very, very important. IQ, OQ, PQ, you are aware about this. URS also you are aware about this. Functional specification is something different. So what is the functional specification? I will just explain you in a short time, okay? Then I will tell you that what is the strategy of these arrows, that I will explain you. So, here the main point is what? When we are preparing the URS will be prepared by the technical team of a pharma. So they will use the word which is expectation by pharma. For example, what happened, like in URS, let us say the example that we will give the one URS or user requirement specification for some computerized system, that if the system is idle for 5 minutes, then automatically system will be log off. This is my requirement as a pharma person. But when I am giving this URS to the software developer or IT experts to build or to design the computerized system, then what happened? He has to convert this URS into the functional specifications. Functional specification means how the system should behave to comply my requirement, to comply user requirement. That is called a functional specification. So how the IT expert will convert that my requirement into functional specification? So as I told you that my requirement is after 5 minutes automatically system should log off. But for that, the person or the IT need to put some controls or put some programs, different programs to comply my one requirement. How many programs? Let us discuss. So in this case, when the system is idle, immediately there should be some program which will allow to start countdown. Okay, it will allow to start countdown, and the countdown will be continuous up to 5 minutes. And as soon as the 5 minutes countdown will be completed, the signal will be generated to log off, and as the result of that signal, the system will be log off. So this way the function specifications are prepared by the IT experts, and then based on that, this specification, the different teams are involved, different teams are engaged to develop the complete program. So some people will work on some control mechanism, some people will work on the alarms or alert mechanism, some people will work on some the basic logins and logout information, some people will work on the export of a data or report form. So that way the different teams will involve to build the system, and then after a system is built, we need to perform IQ, OQ and PQ. So here you can see the arrows. You will come to know that whenever you are checking, you are testing during qualification like IQ, OQ and PQ, these are the three main stages of qualification. You can see there is a back arrow where we are verifying whether for whatever I am doing this test, whether it is solving my purpose or not. So when I am performing the IQ, I have to ensure that whether whatever the design is made, whether it is complying to the design, at the same time whether it is complying to the functional specification. So that way I need to verify my requirements indirectly during each stage. You can see in the OQ also, even you can see at the PQ. So at the end, at the final stage of PQ, you can see the again the return arrow to the URS. So my point is, whenever we are testing, we need to put our focus that during testing we need to verify whether my purpose, maybe during URS, as a part of URS or as a part of functional specification or design, is complied or not. That I have to verify. And second point I want to tell you that many people don't put this put in the report, but I suggest to put in the report that whenever you are putting IQ test, you are performing any IQ, why you are performing the IQ? To fulfill the specific design specification requirement. So you can write the reference number and you can write that design specification reference number maybe 1.2.4 or maybe the functional specification number so and so that you will able to have a traceability. You will have the traceability. Hope you are getting my point, right? Everyone is with me? So this is what the point I want to touch upon here, and that is the reason. uh, so this is what I was telling about the traceability matrix. So based on that, we need to develop the traceability matrix. So how the each test is traceable to my requirement, or how each test is linked to my requirement, that is called the traceability matrix. And this is what the traceability matrix is displayed on the screen. So here you can see there are the two levels basically. One is at a customer level and one is a supplier level. Customer means our level or user level. And you can see that first activities are planned, then business requirements are prepared, and see same flow whatever I displayed in the last screen. You can see this, whatever the displayed earlier in the previous session, previous slide. I will again put the same process flow is in the traceability matrix. Okay, just a minute, some 5-10 seconds will be there to appear at your screen. So here my point is, see this whatever I was discussing, the flow, same flow is used for the traceability matrix. Many companies lack this traceability matrix during the validation, and many inspectors are interested to verify that where is the traceability matrix. So this is the same thing, only broken down into multiple sub parts. So that is what I am displaying in the slide here. Okay. So yeah, one thing I just want to tell you that if you are interested to have a training presentation or training material, please raise your question or your need in the chat box. You can ask that you need a training material. I will share the link to download the training material, but the link will be valid only for a couple of days. So the people who are live with me, they can immediately access the link and they can download it. The people who are not connected through me online, so that time it is really tough to share you the link, because some people may go through this learning after 1 week because they take their own time. But then if you ask me after 1 week and all, I will not able to share the training material. Okay, so if today you are interested, who is attending the today, I will share the training material. Okay, so the point is, that is what I'm sharing here. You can see the same flow is broken down. So customer process is up and supplier focus is down. You can see the business requirement and then the functional specification, you can see, followed by the design specification. Then there will be two design specification. One is a software design specification and another is a hardware design specification. So in case of a software design specification, there will be after that there will be development and coding, followed by the review of the codes, and then system testing plan and report will be prepared. Similar with the hardware, testing plan and report will be prepared, and then both will be evaluated as a part of user acceptance test, whether it is complying to the UAT and all. And you can see everywhere, you can see the back arrow to the regulatory risk assessment, risk control and traceability matrix, risk traceability matrix. Okay, so here you can see here, I don't know whether my cursor is visible to all of you, but you can see at the customer process, the middle one block arrow, you can see that regulatory risk assessment, risk control and RTM. So you can see that wherever you are working on the quality plan, functional specification, design specification, you can find that the traceability matrix is very important. So that is the reason I always suggest that whenever you are performing the validation, computerized system validation, you need to have a traceability matrix. Many companies not complying to this. Many companies are not complying to this because nobody is aware that what you need to review, what you need to check as a part of the computerized system validation. So they just sign off, the quality heads, you are giving the contracts to somebody else, external agency. The external agency will come your validation will be complete, and it will be just a sign off by the quality head, and it will be kept in the archival section. That's it. Whenever inspector or auditor will ask, it is presented to the auditor or inspectors. Nobody will come to know whether why the test is performed, why these requirements are there. Nobody will come to know. So that is the reason I am requesting all of you to, you should know at least, you are not expected to do the testing, but at least you are expected to perform the, you to aware that what the external agency need to perform. Hope you are getting my point. So what are the requirements of validation? There are some basic requirements of validation. You may be aware, but as this is a part of the PLC validation, I have prepared this slide. So you can go through these requirements, simple requirements. Many companies are having these requirements like computer system validation plan. So you need to have a computerized system validation plan. If it is a part of the normal validation master plan, it is okay, but you need to have a computer system validation plan. Change management, deviation and incident management, risk assessment, URS and FRS. URS means user requirement specification, and FRS means functional requirement specification. Already I discussed about the FRS, right? URS, hope you are aware about this. FAT, SAT, factory acceptance test, site acceptance test, qualification protocol and report. This all you are aware. If still you are not clear with these terminologies, there is a separate, even the training on equipment qualification I have conducted. If you wish, I will share all the links of a different qualification and validation related to this in the description section. After completion of this training, you can go through this. Okay. Very important thing is here, we are preparing the installation qualification, operation qualification, and performance qualification protocol and report. But after completion of the PQ, the main point is we need to prepare the validation master report. So what happened, many people are having a VMP followed by these documents like URS, FRS, FAT, SAT, IQ, OQ, PQ, and they prepare the PQ report, and they feel that this is the end of the validation. No, answer is no. After completion of PQ, you need to prepare a validation master report stating that overall evaluation of all the validation studies are under compliant, any deviations are there, whether they are addressed, any changes are recommended, whether the changes are effective or not, whether the changes lead to again retesting or revalidation of some studies. That all need to be specified in the VMR, that is called validation master report. Hope you are with me. Testing, we will discuss about further, we will discuss about the testing. Access control, we need to ensure as a part of validation whether the access controls are taken care or not. Migration from testing environment to the production environment, this is very key stage, or you can say the critical stage as a part of a PLC validation. Data backup and recovery. Many validation I found that this backup and recovery is not considered as a part of validation. So you need to consider the data backup and recovery as a part of the PLC validation. And of course, last, ensure compliance to data integrity principle. You need to ensure compliance to the requirement for data integrity. Hope you are with me and you are getting all the points. So just one point before going ahead on the validation aspect, and that is that many people will think that when we are discussing about the validation, many people will think that we need to only focus on software validation, that is the computer system validation. So my dear friends, no, we have to focus on software of course as well as the hardware also. So you can see here, whenever we are performing the validation, we need to consider the software and hardware. Also we have to consider the equipment or instrument which is controlled by that software. That is also, that means what, when we are performing the PQ, you should able to control the equipment or instrument with that software. That is what the final expectations of this validation. So that is the reason I displayed this slide, and this slide I took it from the GAM, that when we are discussing about the validation, we have to consider the software as well as hardware. Okay. Hope I am this topic somewhat, maybe some people may be considering that complicated and all, but I am making this in a simple uh, language, so please bear with me. If you have any questions, you can put in the chat box. So I am just discussing about some elements of functional risk assessment here, because one thing I was discussing about that, the when we were discussing about the URS and FRS. So FRS means functional requirement specification, and FRA means functional risk assessment. So this also many companies lack during the computerized system validation. So when we are performing the computerized system validation, you should not forget the functional risk assessment. Please remember this. So the functional risk assessment, the first stage is description of the function to be assessed. So you have to identify that what are the functionalities of that particular controlling you need to assess. So you have to identify that functionalities. Maybe operation of some actuator valve, maybe operation of some other valves, maybe operation of some cooling mechanism, so or operation of some alarms. That all functionalities you need to enlist as a part of the functional risk assessment stage 1, like description of the function to be assessed. So this is what the specified here in the slide. You can go through this slide in detail. I'm making in a simple language so that you will understand in an easy way about the PLC validation. The second stage is risk assessment. So under this section, you should able to determine the GXP failure consequences. See, in the first assessment, what you identify, what are the possibilities of functionalities may go wrong, or there will be may go wrong, and due to that failure, what is its impact, what is its consequence. If there is no alarm is generated, or if there is any failure of controlling some temperature, what is its consequence, that you have to write in front of that risk assessment. And the third is risk mitigation strategy. So on the basis of that, a mitigation strategy should be documented for each function with the risk level, GXP, critical, major, or accordingly, major or critical or minor, whatever. So based on that, you identify that how you can control the risk. See, you cannot convert the risk as a zero. There will be always some residual risk will be there, but based on the risk, whether it is a critical risk or major or minor risk, you have to put some mitigation strategy that yes, this control I need to put in my software or system, so that this risk I don't want to be in my controlling mechanism. So that way you have to consider the categorize of the risk as critical or major or minor. The mitigation strategy should have comparatively higher levels of control for functions that have higher risk levels. Of course, if you have identified that the risk level is high, then you need to put more controls, more automated controls, because we are discussing about the software, not the procedural control. So when you are performing the risk mitigation strategy as a part of functional risk assessment, you have to put more procedural control. You have to tell your IT team or a developer that you need to have this control in your system. Hope you are getting my point. And now the next is the infrastructure risk assessment. So as I told you that many companies are not focusing on the infrastructure, but if there is a failure in an infrastructure or any malfunction, then it may lead to loss or corruption of a GXP data. So as the value, why we are working on the automations, PLCs and all, or why we are discussing about the PLC validation, because final goal is what? To comply the data integrity requirement, correct? So we should ensure that there should not be loss or corruption of a GXP data due to the failure of my infrastructure. Infrastructure does not mean only the hardware of whatever is visible. Infrastructure includes all, like PLC, for example, if you discuss about the PLC, infrastructure of the PLC hardware, and then cables, supporting cables and everything, display, then storage systems, all covers under the infrastructure. So this risk we have to evaluate as a part of the infrastructure risk assessment, which is risk related to the loss or corruption of the data. And second important is potential impact of correct operation and availability of supported GXP application. What is its potential impact on the correct operation and availability of a supported GXP applications, that we have to consider as a part of the infrastructure risk assessment. Means, for example, suppose you are having a one server, you are having a one PLC, now it is working well, but suppose in future, suppose if you want to implement the PLC to all your computerized system, all your equipments or machineries, then whether the support system infrastructure is suitable or not, that way potential impact and availability of these all support systems need to be evaluated as a part of the infrastructure risk assessment. Hope I am not so fast. I am, and you are getting the information in a easy way. Please focus on this training, because this topic, you need, unless and until you focus, you will not understand. Please remember this. The intent of this assessment is to plan appropriate technical, procedural, or qualification strategies to mitigate the identified risk. Of course, that is the thing. It is mentioned in the slide. So now the next point is, with respect to the risk assessment of the infrastructure. So you can see here that we should determine the GXP failure, that already we discussed, and GXP failure can focus on loss or corruption of a data, that also we discussed. So that is the reason the infrastructure risk assessment plays very important role in the computerized system, or you can say the PLC validation. But that is what my point is. Many people forget to put the infrastructure validation as a part of PLC validation. So that is the reason I always suggest that please don't forget the infrastructure validation. So when we are discussing about the PCS, means process control system validation, so there are some systems are there, like system hardware. So what are the system hardware? You can see from the slide, I have collected some system hardware example, like processor boards, input output interface, panels, peripherals, cabinets, internal wiring, and so many things. Then when we are discussing about the PLC validation, you have to consider some softwares which may not be related to your URS. Okay, software which may not be related to your functionality, but software may be required to operate that system, like operating system, or some drivers may be required to export or to collect the data from the PLC and put in the server or storage devices. So that software also we need to evaluate as a part of the PLC validation. And third, of course, whatever the softwares are developed specifically to meet our requirement, these softwares also will be should be part of the PCS or process control validations. Hope you are getting my point, right? I am making it simple, easy words, not so complicated, right? So when we are discussing about the when we are discussing about the validation of a process control system is PLC, SCADA, both are included. We have to evaluate the complexity of the system. So based on extent of complexity of the system, the validation efforts are increased, or validation efforts need to increase. How they need to increase? Let us discuss here. You can see from this slide, I just made a simple tool to identify whether it is what extent you need to perform the validation for complex and simple system, right? So here you can see the risk with respect to critical, major, and minor, and here complex and simple. You can see if it is a critical and system is complex, then you need to do the full validation, considering the full focus of the validations and all. But if it is a criticality is a minor, and also it is a simple, then you need to, if you are doing the reduced validation also, then no any problem. Only you can perform some you can perform some limited tests, and you can perform the validation. I will give some example. Like suppose if you have a access control system which is used for the attendance purpose, then risk with respect to it is a minor. But yes, and it is not complex also, it is simple. but it is important. The reason is with that attendance record only you can prove that whether the person was available during the study or not. So in that case you need to consider the validation, not at the extent of a complete validation, but some functional test you can perform as a part of this. So it is a minor and simple, so it can consider as a green band, and you can do the criticality assessment that it is a less critical, and you can do that way. Hope you got my point. So this is with respect to the what I was telling about the simple and complex. Now the question is how I will come to know that the computerized system is a GXP, CGXP impacting or not. You're getting my point. Whether my computerized system is whether it is a GXP system or non-GXP system. That is a also question. You see, because the requirement, see, you cannot go through the you cannot go to the validation of all the computerized system available. Whatever the computerized system are a GXP impact or GXP critical, that only you are going to validate. So for that, it's a simple tool I prepared. If you wish, you can put in your SOP also. It's very simple. You can just answer yes or no, whether it is having a regulatory impact, yes or no. Based on that, you will go to the next stage, and it will arrive on the conclusion that whether it will be critical or not. And based on that, you can perform your functional risk assessment, and then followed by the you can see the further test plannings and all. A simple tool, or you can say the simple process flow is there to explain you about the whether the system is GXP critical or not. This you can use it in your VMP also. This will be helpful. This will be helpful for you to identify the any computerized system whether it is a critical or non-critical. Okay, great. Now let us discuss about the validation of a PLC logic. So why this is what is I use logic, because as you know that the PLC means programmable logic controller. So the point is, when we are discussing about the validation of a PLC, we need to check the PLC logic. Logic means program. In simple word, it is a program made in the PLC, that is called PLC logic. Simple language, this is a program. Okay. So when we are discussing about the validation, we need to ensure the best practices for validation of a PLC. So the first very important practice is design and document the PLC safety logic clearly and systematically. So whatever the design, we have to document it about what are the different logics or programs are made in that. We have to write systematically. And using a structured programming language like ladder logic or functional block diagram or structured test, you can write it down. Ladder logic means, like just like a ladder, stage 1, stage 2, like that. Or you can put some functional block diagram, some diamond and rectangle, different type of shapes you can use it. Or some structured text you can use to write whether what type of logic is there. So where decisions are there, you can see there will be diamond shape. So if in the diamond shape diagram is there, if it diamond shape, it indicates that there is a decision making. So that way, the indication of diagrams. So in the last I prepared the flow for GXP criticality. Hope you remember. Same way I also put the diamond where the decision is there, yes or no. So same way you have to make a design and record it in the form of some structured language, in the form of ladder logic or functional block diagram or structured test, so that you will come to know that what is the program, what type of different programs are made in this, and based on that you will have the strategy to validate. The next second flow is when you record all the design and in the diagram, then you have to cover all the possible scenarios and conditions where that logic or that program may encounter, may fail, or may face some problem. So that different scenarios with respect to the temperature, with respect to the users, with respect to some program of one, impact on the second, all that need to be evaluated under the stage 2. So that you need to consider. Main focus points will be normal operation. During normal operation, what will be the things? Emergency stops, fault detection, and if it is detected, then how it will be recovered. That all points should be covered as a second stage of following the test plan, covering the all possible scenarios. So these 4 points we have to consider and verify that during these all possible scenarios we have to consider. For example, emergency stop, whether the emergency stop fail or whether the emergency stop the signal to give the LEDs to, or red color LEDs, or something like that, or hooters. So that all different types of scenarios we need to consider in a stage 2. And the stage 3, what I am discussing now, will be documenting and reporting the test results. So very important. I didn't discuss, I told you that in the PLC validation I didn't discuss about that you have to prepare URS, IQ, FRS, sorry, URS, FRS, IQ, OQ, PQ. In between you need to have FAT, SAT, you need to do the vendor evaluations and all. That I didn't discuss because it is already taken in the separate video or separate webinar under the computer system validation. This is I am only focusing on the PLC. So the third is document and report the test results. So you need to have a test case, you need to have a test log and a test report. Test case means simple, I will tell you in our language, is a test specification and testing procedure. STP, specification and STP. In IT or software language it is called a test case. Test case means what? What exact test will be performed and how the test will be performed. That information will be part of the test case. Simple. Test logs. When you are performing the test case, some recordings will be there. That recording is called the logs. Means in short, online entries, whatever we call in our GMP requirements. It should be automatically recorded. Some companies, they use some softwares like Jira and all. Automatically this test will be recorded. And third is a test reports. So when it is all recorded, the report is prepared and then it has to be signed off. So these 3 are stages we need to follow during the PLC validation. Hope you got my point, right? So there are different approaches for PLC validation or logic testing. So these 3 some this all the different 3 scenarios of validations are now we will discuss now. First we will discuss the what is the practice of a PLC validation, and now we will discuss about how PLC can be validated. And the first, how you can validate, by using the simulation software. When I am discussing about the PLC validation, remember that we need to verify the logic of the PLC, correct? Logic means programming of the PLC, simple language. So one is simulation software. So there are some softwares are available. So because you have a PLC, you cannot operate the complete big reactor always, to check the whether the programming is correct or not in your PLC. So nobody is going to provide you the big reactors or big equipments along with the small PLC testing. So what happened? What they do? They use the simulation software. So simulation softwares are such a way that they will generate the signals automatically, and they will virtually make the system that the PLC will identify that there is a virtual equipment is available. So that way programs are made. So when you run that software, PLC will detect that some signals are getting, and I am giving some signals. That signals are given to the software, but the signals are given to that equipment. That way the PLC will read it. Hope you are getting my point. Means what? Artificially some the softwares are generated, which PLC will so this generated softwares will give some signals. For example, let us take the same example of a temperature control. Let us take the example of a temperature control. So what happened? I am having a PLC. and the software is there, what happen? Software will go on generating giving the data of a temperature continuously. So PLC will read it as it is getting the data from the equipment. So similar way the PLC will get all the data, and there is a logic or there is a program that the temperature should not be more than 50 degrees centigrade. So when the temperature data goes on getting the 50 degrees centigrade, immediately the signal is given to stop the heating. So based on that, sensor will get the information about the stopping the heating, and automatically the actuator valves will open to increase the cooling or stopping the heating and all. So that way PLC we will you hope you are getting my point, you know. So that way the PLC testing is done. So here basically you can go through this slide, so you can work out on that whether the about the controlling the sensors, actuators and safety devices are functioning or not as a part of the PLC data collection and controlling. That is tested here. Means basically here the PLC functioning is tested here artificially, you can say, because we are just using the simulation software. You got my point? So how it can be tested? It can tested at a normal condition or emergency stop or fault detection or a recovery, that is tested here. Hope you got my point. The second scenario of a PLC validation is same thing is explained here. 26. Okay. The second scenario what I want to share is use of verification tools. So what happened, whatever the programs are there, you have to verify its compliance with respect to some safety standards. I have given some example like IEC 61508, IEC 62061 or ISO 13849. Basically this testing is at the vendor end. So this will not be the testing will not be at your end or the user level end. But when the data is presented, you need to just verify that how the PLC logic testing is done, whether safety of the PLC logic is tested with respect to complying to the standards or not. And how it is tested? It is tested with respect to identifying the faults, identifying the wrongness or improperness in the coding or programming. For example, you can see some example here like model checking, static analysis or fault tree analysis is used to verify whether the programming is correct and robust. That is what the purpose of this second testing. So here it is not like that any one of the tests you need to perform. We have to perform all the tests. That is what I just want to discuss here. So how it is tested? It is tested that one thing we discuss about the simulation software, right? That you got the idea. Second is I am just having the PLC and there is a different logics are there or programmings are there. So how the programming will work? If I am giving the signal to this particular level, then it will generate the alarm or it will generate the signal to the next level. So whether that signals are detected in the next level or not, that way it is tested. So that is called the verification tools, and this helps to meet the safety integrity level, SIL, and performance level of the system. Hope you are getting my point. This is somewhat complicated, but I am making it in a simple language. And third is what? Using the actual testing equipment. This you have to ensure at your end. So what you have to do, when the PLC is connected with your equipment or instrument, you have to operate the PLC and verify whether the input outputs are expected as per the expectations or not. Okay. Testing equipment can also measure and record the response time, current, voltage, and other PLC and other parameters of the PLC and the safety devices. That you need to verify when you are performing this testing in your place at the user end level where PLC is connected with your actual instrument or equipment. Hope you got my point. So this is the third type of testing is performed in the PLC logic. Okay. because this is a real environment. In first environment was what, simulation software, so it was a in vitro environment. Here this is the real environment, so at our end that has to be tested, verified by the site personnel, and then only you will sign off, because it will help to detect any faults or failure in the hardware component. Because what happened, you are putting that PLC in the system, your reactor, your machine, so whether it will work well or not, that you need to ensure at your end. Hope you got my point. So this is what I just want to share for today's discussion, and next week we will discuss about some brief about the PLC scope and validation strategy and all. We will have a quick recap what we discussed today, that we will discuss the next week. Then different test strategies we will discuss. We will discuss about some white box and black box testing. Then somebody asked me about the agile testing and all, that we will discuss. Further difference between the agile approach and waterfall approach, what is the verification and validation differences, that we will discuss to make your concepts clear. We'll discuss some QTP, quick test professional and manual testing, what are the difference and all, what are the different stages of manual testings, and what is the system retirement plan, that all we will discuss in the stage 2, followed by the question and answers and vote of thanks. So this is all will be discussed on the next week. Further, I would like to tell you that risk assessment nowadays is very important, and I have organized this training, is a paid training session. It is very cheap, just 2000 rupees per one participant. Online training, you will get learning, training material, guideline and everything. And the point is, I am collecting this all the fees from this training of a quality risk management to support the poor farmers. So that is the reason I am just collecting the fees, and for that I have organized this paid webinar. Otherwise I would have planned this training session free of cost, but I am just collecting the fees to support the poor farmers. And further, I just want to make you aware that in the YouTube I have made the 3 different programs. YouTube membership program, there are 3 different levels: GMP, CGMP and advanced GMP. So if you go through the YouTube membership program, you will come to know that what are the benefits of a GMP and CGMP and advanced GMP. You will get lot of news, GMP updates and all under this program. Under advanced GMP, if anyone has a personal questions or personal doubt, they can resolve, they can interact with me and they can resolve their doubts under the, if they had a advanced GMP program. So that was, I am supporting the members who are under the advanced GMP. I am supporting them. For them I am taking a separate session, a live session, to discuss with them person to person and solve their queries. So these are the 3 programs. You can definitely make use of these programs, and that is what from my side today. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Thank you so much. Now let us discuss about our questions. Okay. Can you please explain hardware validation elements in the server system? So already I discussed about the hardware, what are the hardware elements we need to consider, that already I discussed, like input output and all the cables and all the whatever the hardware components are there, everything I discussed, just one slide. The point is what it is, whether it is suitable or not, that only you need to verify, that's it, nothing else. Okay. So please share the present. Sorry, not clear. What I need to, oh, training material, you mean to say that you need to have a training material? No problem, I will share you. Mr. Sami Puri is asking, antivirus system is to be considered during the computer system validation. Yes, of course, that I am going to discuss in the next week, when we will discuss about the agile workflow and all that we will discuss. Okay. Pharma Dreamers is asking, test scripts may be known as a test case. Yeah, sometimes test scripts are called as a test case, but basically test script is a broader terminology. Test case is a specific to specific test. So that is what the thing. And just wait for just a minute. I will share you the link. You can link to, just a minute, download the PPT. So I am sharing this link. You can immediately download the training session material. Okay. And now after this, if you have any question, don't put in the chat box now, because this chat will be the closed, but comments will be continue. So please remember that when after this, if you have any questions, please put your question in the comment section. And second thing, you can share this link to your colleagues so that they also can get benefit. And third thing, I am I come to know that how many people are learning from this training session, but only 50% people subscribe to the YouTube channel. I suggest all people to subscribe this YouTube channel so that you will get notifications of the next videos. You know, every Wednesday I am preparing a short learning about some questions and answers on key topics. So that will be helpful to all of you. So please stay tuned to the Hitendra Kumar Shah YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and ensure all time compliance. Okay, and now I will stop that training session, and further you can put your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much.